Hello, my name is Maverick. I am one of the programmers for the game Fast Forward that's coming out real soon. It is a fast-paced action FPS with parkour elements, and I'm the person responsible for making the character controller that's present in the game. I wanted to talk about it a little bit because a lot of it is very technical. It calculates all of its velocity vectors with my own code and then applies them to the Unity rigid body rather than relying with any of the embed Unity systems besides collisions so that it can form cohesively with the rest of the world. I want to talk about how it is operating, what it's doing, and be able to explain kind of how it uses interesting techniques to solve some of the challenges that we faced. So this is very standard walking and jumping. It is calculating out the input value that you can see with the red line and then multiplying it by a speed value and moving the character as such. The blue lines are doing terrain detection, so they're seeing the ground below me, and so it is saying that I'm in the grounded state and I am not to be falling or building speed in the vertical direction. There's 4 of them, so that this won't count as falling because it kind of isn't, but it's to give the player a little bit of wiggle room so that they don't have to worry about that too much. The yellow lines are for respawn detection, so they are currently checking where I'm standing and determining that I am currently standing on terrain so that it can mark if one of them doesn't work, that was the last place that I was standing, so if I jump off and I lose, I will be teleported back up to where I was so that I can keep going. The reason why they're spaced out so far is because it allows the player to have a little bit of wiggle room when they respawn so as not to just immediately fall off the ledge again. Next up we have a clamber. This is a parkour move where people can basically grab onto a ledge if they weren't about to make it and then push themselves back up onto it. It, in a video game sense, allows the player to have a little bit more flexibility with how they do their jumps. It can make it so they can catch themselves in a bad spot. So when I jump, you can see that there's a green line that appears. This is checking for the terrain, and then when it does hit the terrain, it'll kind of push me up onto that ledge. You can see the little box that appears. That is actually checking to make sure that I have the space to be where I want to be once I finish the clamber. And then once it finishes the clamber, it gives me all of my momentum back so that if I was running really fast, I get to keep going without being punished too much for having not made the jump perfectly. The next part is wall running. This is probably the most advanced thing that I put together for this controller. It allows you to latch onto any wall, assuming there's not something that we put on explicitly saying you can't. And it allows you to make jumps that you otherwise couldn't by letting you kind of use that surface as a dampener to your fall speed. So you can see there's a big gap here that I could never make if I was jumping. If I try, I'm just going to not make it even close. I guess that was a half-hearted attempt. I'll give it a real one. Yeah, can't make it. But if I were to run up to this wall and kind of hug it as I'm doing my jump, I will engage a wall run where the camera tilts. It then starts calculating your movement while you're wall running, and then it displays it with these yellow lines. So I'll do it again just to make sure that it's visible. The arc roughly matches where the how the movement will act when you're running along the wall. It gives you a little bit of a boost and then slowly starts to drop you with a much lower rate, so you can make jumps like this quite easily. The next part of this is being able to chain multiple wall runs together by jumping from one wall to the other. This is very unrealistic, but this is how we are performing our platformer so that you can do this a lot. This is one of the main aspects of our game and one of the main ways you engage with the world. So we want to make sure you're comfortable with it. So we go back and forth. You can jump along them. It will take all of your momentum and point you in the direction that you were looking. You'll note that when you are wall running, you can actually look around as much as you want once you've actually engaged with the wall run. This is to help the player be able to either look and shoot or just dictate where they want to go after they've done their wall run. And then once they do the jump, it'll push you in that direction to make sure that you're on the right track. So I'm looking here, I press space, I go in that direction. And then it lets you build up speed, it lets you keep momentum, and it lets you have a lot of fun. So yeah, it lets you pass gaps like these quite easily. Next up is the slide state. This one is one that we use a lot. For this part, it's basically showing that you can go under gaps that are typically too low for you to get under. It's more of like a challenge that we'll have in the middle of a run. So you can slide by pressing control. It'll reduce your height. It'll move the gun over so that it dictates, yes, you are sliding right now. And then it shifts all of your movement to be very momentum based. So in this example, I've applied friction to it because I have the ability to basically reduce your speed over time as it would if you were trying to slide in real life. In our game, there's not a lot of friction because that's just how our game operates. We want you to keep your momentum. But in this case, you can slide right under it. It does a detection for if you are moving too slow to be able to save yourself. So if you got trapped underneath this, you wouldn't be able to stand up because it's detecting that you are underneath a surface, but you can actually move around a little bit as a sort of crawl once you get trapped in this spot. Over here, I wanted to showcase how your wall running actually works with any wall in the game. This is a rounded wall, which means that it's made up of multiple flat surfaces put together. It can actually seamlessly transition your wall run across them. So I'll showcase that here. No problems there. You can just get across real easy. It's real smooth, and it keeps all the same rules, so at any point I can kind of jump off and keep my speed. This is really difficult to do because it requires that you measure the normal of the wall and then check your direction and then apply it. But now that it's all together, it actually feels really, really nice. So one more thing is that this is an incline. When you're walking, it actually checks it checks the incline of the floor that you're walking on to make it so that it will apply your movement in the direction of the surface that you're walking. Helps a lot for keeping the problems away that you usually have with these player controllers, where it'll like skip as you're going down because it'll change from like, oh, I'm grounded, to, oh, I've moved off the ground because I'm moving away from a sloped space. So it checks that and actually makes it so that you're walking, applies the movement in the direction of the floor that you're standing on. The slide does the same, except it actually detects if you're moving downhill, it will slide faster to make it so you're picking up speed. So I'll showcase that now. Here it's actually stopping because of friction, but you can see as I'm like going down this slope that it's making it so that the slide is increasing in speed as I go down it. So we do this a lot for a lot of our speed-based things in our game. It also makes it so that when you're going up slopes, it'll slow you down. It functions more as a roll in our game, but here the slide is kind of showcasing how it uses that to kind of dynamically change how fast you're going. It's one of the more advanced parts that tends to go unseen. Lastly, at the end of this, we have a booster box. It's invisible, but the idea here is that you hit it and then you're able to fling the player off in a really far direction. And the reason why this works is because you're actually able to modify the direction of the player's controller's speed directly, very simply, with my setup. And so if I touch it, I'm going to get flung off in that direction, and then I respawn. Right now I'm being locked out of my movement for a little bit, but that's typically how this is going to go. So yeah, that's my player controller. I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you for sitting through this, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.